Hello, and welcome to our conversations on the future of work and leadership. I'm Elizabeth Varghese, and over the past few weeks, I've been working with New Yorkers to get their perspectives on how work has changed and what leadership and resilience really mean in times of crises. We have with us today one of New York City's heroes, Mary Huff. Mary is the artistic director of the New York City Children's Chorus. An accomplished musician and artist herself, Mary currently works with over 150 children across New York City, keeping the music alive, teaching them through virtual technology, and really ensuring that the music continues for us without missing a beat. Thank you for making the time to be with us today, Mary. Tell us a little bit about yourself. What brought you to New York City, and how has your journey with music been so far?
I grew up in rural South Carolina. I happened to have parents who loved music very much, neither professional, but they took me to every concert in the area, and they made sure I had piano lessons. They took me to choir rehearsal. I went to a school called Furman University, which had a great music department, went on to Yale, and that was my first exposure to the metropolitan New York City area, where I realized that the music making is the best in the world here. Our family put down our roots in New York City, and I can't imagine ever leaving. The music making is just so wonderful.
That is amazing. And it's, artists like you and leaders and teachers like you who make it what it is. Now, what's the favorite part of your job and what you do?
Well, musicians can be sort of angsty. I like Brahms, I like a good sad song. But the favorite part of my job with the New York City Children's Chorus is the balance that children bring to it. So they bring lightness and happiness and openness. And children don't know that singing a high A in German is difficult because nobody told them that. So they're just open to try anything that you put in front of them, and scaffolded with the right support, they can do it. So the favorite part of my job is the lightness of working with the children that balances out the angst of me as a musician.
That is so wonderful. And you really challenge them to do things that people may think are difficult or impossible. And they sing in so many languages with you, right? Your chorus.
Yes, well, that's the richness of being in New York City too, because if we're doing a piece in Serbian, I might have a child that actually speaks Serbian in the class. And so, or we'll be singing a song in Hebrew, and there'll be several children that can check my pronunciation for me.
That is so great. That's so great. And, as the pandemic has unfolded, how has life and work changed for you?
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is that the children aren't here. I happen to live in the building right next to where I work. And so I don't even have to go outside to come to my office. So I've been teaching from my choir room, but there are no children here. So that has certainly been strange. But, and Zoom, as wonderful as it is, is a one-way street audio wise, so you can't have lots of people making noise together. So we've missed that, but we've tried to do the best we can and try to aim for deep learning along the way where we can.
That's amazing, because I know you have a whole class of high schoolers who are doing Zoom choir every Sunday night, and you're keeping them all in order and engaged, and that is admirable, as any parent would know and acknowledge.
Well, everybody else's children are much easier than my own.
What has been important in this crisis? Now, you had mentioned to me that you've had COVID yourself.
Well, so when I developed symptoms of COVID, it was after the shutdown. So I had to depend on my staff to put out a curriculum while I was sick, and they did it in a very stellar way. And then once I was feeling well again, I was able to meet all of my classes. The strangest part of COVID-19 is the lack of you sort of losing your taste. Right. And your sense of smell. And I'm a very sensory person. And I felt like I couldn't see the red in the tulips if I couldn't taste, the spice in the jalapeno burger. So I really missed that. And that was very, very strange. But I'm back, I'm healthy, my family is healthy. And so we're just sort of getting used to this new model of teaching and
Right.
singing.
No, so what are the things you think are going to change in your profession and the music industry going forward, just as you think about what's happened with the pandemic?
Well, the weirdest thing for me is sort of thinking about the nature of COVID-19 is, sort of the danger of respiratory droplets. And
Right.
part of my job is to stand in a room with people expelling respiratory droplets in my direction.
Right.
I mean, I'm not surprised that I became ill, because that is just what I do. So the notion of trying to rethink that, so there's distance, and so there's ample distance, and not just 6 feet, but do we have to do 12 feet to be really safe? Do we need to wear masks?
Right.
How much artistry can you bring to the choral rehearsal in these conditions? So those are just questions we're trying to think through, particularly for the fall when the new season starts.
Right, right, right. And as you've been thinking about this, what do you think are the qualities that people really need to have in order to manage in an environment like this, or, a changing environment?
Well, the wild card is the children part of it, because I, so much of it, is going to be conditioned at home. It's not safe to run and hug your friends at this moment.
Right,
Um, so a lot of that is going to be conditioning, and then a lot of it is going to be setting things up for success. Do we need to look at, classes of only 8 children? Do we need to look at classes of, one grade comes to the school this week and another grade comes the other week? There's lots of things that can be done to keep kids safe that sort of have to figure out. And then how can we use remote learning to fill in the gaps?
right. The logistics of how to make it all work.
Mm-hmm.
Mary, any thoughts around, as you reflect upon what's important in times like these? What are you telling your choirsters, your children? What do we hold on to as a community?
Well, there's this, I don't know if your viewers will think way back in time to when they took psychology or human development. There's this pyramid called Maslow's
Yes.
sort of hierarchy of needs. Now, I don't agree with every single bit of his pyramid, but a lot of it I do. And so, if you think at the bottom of the pyramid is safety and food and water and all of those things, and then next, sort of move up higher, and then sort of art and music are more towards the top. Well, I was usually functioning at the top of that pyramid.
Right.
And now a lot of what I do with the children is lower in the pyramid because they don't feel as safe, and they don't have the confidence, and they don't have the esteem that they did have 2 months ago. And so how can I change what I'm doing and use music to help build their pyramid up again?
Wow.
And that is going to allow them, to allow the whole society to begin functioning again up that pyramid.
Some of those building blocks, you're really helping put those back together.
Yeah, I mean, right now my job is instilling love, whereas before it was instilling the value of a half note.
Right. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Mary. Any closing remarks from a New Yorker to the rest of us here, one who's lived and thrived through the pandemic?
Well, I mean, going back to the angstiness of art, there's so many artists that are in their homes right now that have all this angst. And the thing about it is, it's going to make a lot of beauty. And it's going to make my music making more beautiful on the other side. And so, I think of what the glory is going to be once you unleash all these artists and chefs and dancers, and they're allowed to be their full professional selves. How, what a rich reward that's going to be.
Wow, that is very profound. So when we come out at the end of the tunnel, we're anticipating all this richness, all this creativity being unleashed. And Mary, I know you'll be shepherding the children through that process, and through what's out there. Thank you so much again, Mary Huff, one of New York City's heroes, one of my heroes. Be well, and thank you for taking the time.
You're welcome.